It happens in the quietest moments. You lean in to check on your baby, and suddenly they lock onto your face, like they are trying to solve it. Not glancing, not drifting, studying. Your eyes, your mouth, the tiny shift in your eyebrows, the way your expression changes between one breath and the next. And for a second, it can feel almost unsettling, like this tiny human is looking through you instead of at you. Most parents notice it early, that intense stare during feeding, the way your baby seems to pause when you come close, the strange feeling that they are memorizing you, even before they can hold a toy, sit up, or say a sound on purpose. And the question creeps in fast. What is going on in that little mind? Because from the outside, it looks simple, a baby looking at a face. But what is really happening is much deeper than most parents realize. Your baby is not just staring because faces are interesting. They are doing something far more important. They are gathering clues, testing patterns, reading emotion, and building one of the earliest maps of the human world. And that is the mystery hiding inside such a familiar moment. Why does your face matter so much to a baby who barely understands anything else yet? The answer begins with the explanation everyone gives, and why that explanation is only the surface. The common answer is that babies study your face because babies like faces. And that is true, but it is also incomplete. In the same way saying the ocean is water is true. It tells you almost nothing about what is really there. Yes, babies are drawn to faces early. Research has shown that even newborns tend to orient toward face-like patterns, and very young infants are especially responsive to direct gaze. In other words, from the beginning, the human brain appears unusually ready to notice the basic structure of a face and the powerful signal of eyes looking back. But if that were the whole story, your baby would look at a face the same way they look at wallpaper, a lamp, or a high-contrast toy. And they do not. A face is different because it changes. It reacts. It answers. Your baby can stare at your face and see tension soften, eyes widen, lips lift, sound begin, comfort arrive. Your face is not just an object in the room. It is a moving emotional dashboard. It is one of the first places your baby can connect what they see with what they feel. That is why the stare can feel so focused. Your baby is not admiring your features. They are trying to understand a live source of information. Who comes close when I cry? What does calm look like? What happens right before a voice turns gentle? What does this person's face do when they see me? And once you realize that, the staring stops looking random. It starts to look like research, which raises an even more fascinating question. What exactly is your baby's brain learning from your face in those moments? One part of the answer is surprisingly ancient. Long before babies understand words, they are already prepared to notice social information. Reviews of early face processing research suggest that newborns are drawn to face-like arrangements from the start, and very early experience then begins shaping that system fast. So when your baby studies your face, they are not beginning from zero. They are arriving with a brain that is already ready to prioritize certain patterns, especially the ones most likely to connect them to other humans. But readiness is not the same as understanding. Your baby is still building meaning from repetition. Every time they look at you, they are comparing tiny details. The eyes open wider. The mouth moves before sound. The forehead tightens when something is wrong. The whole face softens when they are safe. These patterns repeat again and again, and repetition is how a baby's brain turns sensation into prediction. This is part of why familiar faces become so powerful. With experience, babies begin tuning their attention to the faces they see most. Researchers describe this as a narrowing process. Early perception is broad, then experience makes it more specialized. So your baby is not just learning what a face is, they are learning your face, your rhythm, your emotional style, your specific version of reassurance. That intense look, then, is not passive. It is active pattern building. Your baby is collecting data on the person most likely to regulate their world. And because your face often arrives with your voice, your smell, your touch, and relief from discomfort, the face becomes part of a much bigger emotional package. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Babies are not only reading faces when they stare, they are also, in a very real sense, trying to read minds, without yet knowing what a mind is. When your baby studies your face, they are slowly discovering one of the biggest truths in human life. Faces predict what happens next. That is a profound realization for a nervous system that starts life overwhelmed by sensation. Think about how much information lives in one expression. Before you pick your baby up, your face changes. Before you speak, your mouth shapes the sound. Before you soothe, your eyes often soften. Adults barely notice this because we have spent a lifetime decoding faces automatically. Babies have not. They are still learning that a face is not just appearance. It is intention, attention, and emotional meaning all bundled together. Research on early development also helps explain why direct gaze matters so much. Very young infants show special sensitivity to faces that appear to engage them. That means your baby is not only interested in faces in general, they are especially pulled toward the feeling of being looked at. Mutual gaze is one of the earliest social signals that says, this moment is about us. That is why face study can become so intense during calm, alert moments. Your baby is not distracted by survival needs for a second, so the brain gets to do one of its favorite jobs, social learning. This is also where responsive interaction becomes powerful. When a baby serves with a look, sound, or expression, and an adult returns with a face, voice, or touch, those back and forth exchanges help build the neural connections behind communication and social understanding. So the stare is not empty. It is the beginning of conversation before language. But if babies are so drawn to faces, why do they sometimes suddenly look away, freeze, or stop meeting your eyes right when you think they were locked in? This is the twist many parents miss. Looking away can be part of healthy face processing too. The same baby who studies your face like a puzzle may suddenly turn their head, blink, stiffen, or seem to check out for a moment. And to a parent, that can feel confusing. Did I lose them? Did I do something wrong? Were they not actually engaged? Often, no. Sometimes looking away is exactly how babies stay engaged without becoming overwhelmed. The American Academy of Pediatrics notes that very young babies may look away as a way of protecting themselves from too much input. That means gaze aversion is not always disconnection. It can be regulation. Your face carries enormous emotional and sensory value. The eyes, voice, movement, warmth, and expectation are all coming at once. For a developing nervous system, even something good can become too much. So babies dip in, then dip out. They look, absorb, pause, reset, and return. Once you know this, a lot of baby behavior starts making more sense. The long stare is not neediness. The sudden look away is not rejection. The frozen little expression is not emptiness. These can all be signs of a brain working hard to process one of the richest things in its world, a human face that means something. There is one careful caution worth holding on to. While every baby has their own style and every moment of eye contact does not need to be perfect, if you are concerned that your baby rarely seems to look at faces, does not seem to notice your presence, or has lost skills they once showed, it is reasonable to bring that up with your pediatrician. That is not a reason to panic. It is simply paying attention in the calm, informed way good parents do. And that brings us to the most reassuring part of all. What your baby is really seeing in your face may matter even more than how often they look at it. What your baby is piecing together is not a perfect face. It is a familiar one, a responsive one, a face that changes when they cry, brightens when they appear, softens when they settle, and stays present while their inner world is still chaotic and new. So if your baby studies your face like a puzzle, it is not because they are judging you. It is because you are becoming one of the first patterns that makes life understandable. In a world of blur, noise, and unpredictable sensation, your face is one of the earliest places where cause and effect begin to make sense. I feel something. I look up. There you are. Your expression changes. Your voice follows. My body starts to calm. That sequence becomes meaning, and meaning becomes security. This is why such a tiny moment can carry so much emotional weight. It is not just cute, it is foundational. Your baby is learning that human faces are worth watching because human faces can bring comfort, information, and connection. And the more you respond, even in simple ways, the more that lesson deepens. So the next time your baby stares at you with that almost impossible intensity, try seeing it differently. Not as a mystery to worry about, but as a sign that a remarkable process is unfolding right in front of you. They are not just looking, they are learning from you. If this helps you see your baby in a new way, stay with this channel, because the next question is just as fascinating.